This is the Polygon Collosus N7, and it's a brand new Enduro bike for 2024. Now, some of you may recall that we tested the Collosus N9 late last year, and this bike uses exactly the same frame and suspension design, but thanks to a more budget-oriented parts kit, it manages to bring the price down well under $4,000. The question is it any good? The Polygon Collosus N7 is built around a hydroformed alloy frame, and it features 29-inch wheels and 170mm of travel front and rear. Out back is the IFS 6-bar suspension platform. Now, this sees the chainstay attaching to the main frame via two small links which dictate the rear axle path. The seat stay then drives the shock, with a small rocker link helping to control the leverage rate. Now, it is more complicated than the single pivot suspension platform found on the Siskiyou trail bike, but Polygon claims that the improvement in pedaling and braking performance is worth it. As we've come to expect from Polygon, geometry is very much up to date on the Collosus. We've got a slack 63.5-degree head angle, a relatively steep 77-degree effective seat tube angle, and the reach measurements are generous on our size large test bike that comes in at 480mm. Thanks to the IFS suspension platform, Polygon's been able to make the chainstays quite short on this bike. The rear centre length is 435mm, which is very much on the shorter side for a long travel 29er. For 2024, there are two models in the Polygon Collosus lineup. There's the N9 model, which we reviewed last year, and then this new N7 model, which comes in at a frankly astonishing $3,299 Australian dollars. Now, that gets you a RockShox Zeb fork and a super deluxe shock. We've got a Shimano Dior 12-speed drivetrain with a Sunrace cassette, Tektro brakes, and 2.6-inch wide V Flow Snap tyres. Confirmed weight for our Polygon Collosus N7 test bike is 18.32 kilos, and that makes this quite possibly the heaviest enduro bike we've ever tested. Despite the cheaper build kit, we're happy to report that the Collosus N7 is just as capable as its more expensive sibling. The frame feels solid, the geometry is on point for high-speed hammering, and the RockShox suspension is fantastic. Sure, the base level Zeb might not have all the bells and whistles of the pricier versions, but it still feels great, and that 38mm chassis lends a lot of confidence up front. The suspension is smooth and active, with the rear end delivering loads of grip through blown out corners and down rocky descents. There's also excellent big hit support thanks to the hydraulic bottom out function that's built into the shock. Traction is enhanced by the aggressive V tyres. These feature an ultra gooey rubber compound that molds to the terrain and helps to dampen high speed chatter. The robust cornering blocks allow you to really lean the bike over through the turns, and thanks to the short chainstays, it doesn't take as much effort to initiate turns on the Collosus as you might assume. But while we have been impressed by the grip and efficiency from the IFS suspension platform, there's no getting around the fact that the Collosus N7 is a lot of bike to lug around. Not helping things, the wheel set is quite heavy at 2.5 kilos, and the tyres weigh over 1.4 kilos each. The chunky tread pattern and the sticky rubber compound makes for a ton of drag, slowing you down and sapping your energy on the flats and whenever you head uphill. You can even feel that rolling resistance on smoother descending trails, making it harder to pump the bike to generate speed. Changing the tyres to something lighter and faster rolling would have a huge impact on this bike's overall speed and enthusiasm. That being said, we do love the grip that the V tyres provide, and the robust casings will take an absolute hammering. Overall, this bike has proven to be a solid performer so far, and there's nothing on here that stands out as requiring immediate upgrading. I would say that riders tackling rocky terrain may want to add a chain guide and a lower bash guard. We noticed a fair amount of chain slap, so it would be worth adding some protection in order to minimise noise and paint chipping. Otherwise, the Dior 12-speed drivetrain has worked really well, despite being paired to that cheaper Sunrace cassette. And the Tektro brakes have also been fuss-free. You do need to run the levers quite far inboard, though once in position the feel is solid, even with the 2-piston caliper at the rear. We thought these might be the weak point on this bike, but our 83-kilo test rider had no complaints in terms of overall power and feel. Otherwise, the wheels have been solid and the dropper post works fine. The only thing we'd look at changing if this were our bike would be the handlebar. The stock bar is a little square and could do with a bit more sweep. But all things considered, the Polygon Collosus N7 is a bloody good enduro bike for the money. With its sturdy alloy frame, contemporary geometry and RockShox suspension, it's well equipped for proper gravity-based riding. It's certainly no lightweight, and the aggressive tyres do make it quite the drag when heading uphill. But if you're after your first enduro bike and your preference is for maximum capability on rough and roundy descents, we'd be hard-pressed to recommend anything else at this price point. Now, if you've got any questions for us about the Polygon Collosus, make sure you drop those into the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Tooroo!